Om. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityoramamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the spiritual teacher of the world, who killed demons Kamsa and Chanura, who are tormenting the people. The bliss of Devaki, mother of Lord Krishna. We offer our salutations to him, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Let us pray to God to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today I am just starting the new text for our studies, and that is the most famous Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna has given this message for the whole humanity. Bhagavad Gita can be called as universal gospel, meant for everyone following any religion. What is needed is to know the things properly, live the life properly, and release from the prison house of bondage. So, first of all, we must realize we are in bondage. That's the first step. People think they are quite happy. What is bondage? Live happily, earn money, spend money, enjoy the life. So, for many people, enjoyment is a goal of life. But this enjoyment is not complete happiness that one gets from. It's always mixed with unpleasantness, tensions, worries, anxieties, and so on. So in a way, we are cause for our bondage. We should not point our finger to God, why God has put me in this trouble. No. We don't behave properly, so we suffer. We don't know what is what, so we suffer. We do not know what is real, what is unreal, so we suffer. That means we need to be properly educated in spiritual ideas. Spiritual education is very important. A person who is full knowledgeable about spirituality is free from all fanaticism, dogmatism. Spiritual life is the purest way of life one can ever think of. And we should note that the spiritual life should be lived not after this life is over. It is not life after death. Don't get mistaken. It is to be lived at the present, before you pass away from this body, this mortal frame. Use all your faculties to understand, to live properly. So, every step in spiritual life is very important, because the way in which the worldly life drags us out is very dangerous. Slight distraction means you slip away, downhill. So, one has to be really careful, alert, smart, and vigorous. So, life itself is a battle. Show me one life who is free from battle. Some kind of fighting will be there. It's not an easy path. It is mixed with thorns. So, we have to learn through our life. If we have that open-mindedness, then you will be free from any danger, and you will be free from any circumstances obstructing in our path. So all these things Lord Krishna has very nicely, clearly explained in this divine message. And this Bhagavad Gita was taught to Arjuna, who was confused with life. This famous Bhagavad Gita, the divine message given by Lord Krishna, occurs in Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata, the great epic, chapter 25 to 42. The Gita is a doctrine of universal truth. Its message is universal, sublime, and non-sectarian. It deals with the most sacred metaphysical science. It imparts the knowledge of the self and answers two universal questions. Who am I? And how can I lead a happy and peaceful life in this world of dualities? Gita is a book of yoga, the moral and spiritual growth for mankind based on the cardinal principles given by great Hindu tradition. The message of Gita came to humanity because of Arjuna's unwillingness to do his duty as a warrior, because fighting involved destruction and killing. I will later on explain to you who is Arjuna, etc. Some background of this is necessary. non-violence or ahimsa is one of the most fundamental tenets of Hinduism. All lives, human or non-human, are sacred. This immortal discourse between the Supreme Lord Krishna and his devotee friend Arjuna occurs not in a temple, not in a secluded forest, not on a mountain top, but on a battlefield, on the eve of a war. And this is recorded in the great epic Mahabharata. In Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to get up and fight. This may create a misunderstanding of the principles of ahimsa if the background of the war of Mahabharata is not kept in mind. The Gita expounds very lucidly the fundamentals of yoga philosophy. It's a great source of wisdom. It's a great guide, a supreme teacher, and an inexhaustible spiritual treasure. It's a fountain of bliss, an ocean of knowledge. It is full of divine splendor and grandeur. Bhagavad Gita has inspired millions of people all over the world. It has transformed many people who really seriously think about life and their problems. So before we go into the text of the Bhagavad Gita itself, it is good to know the circumstances under which this sacred scripture was given. Gita is a dialogue between Arjuna, a great warrior king, and the Supreme Lord Krishna, incarnated. To know who Arjuna and Krishna were, we need a little story or history of the Mahabharata, in which Gita occurs. There were two brothers, the blind Dhritarashtra and the fair-skinned Pandu, ruling a kingdom in ancient India. King Dhritarashtra married Gandhari, a girl from Afghanistan, and King Pandu married Kunti and Madri. Because Pandu was cursed for something which he did bad, he couldn't have children. But by the grace of God, he was given 5 sons through God's representatives. Of course, this, how it's all about, has been explained in the Mahabharata. You have to read the story of the Mahabharata. So Pandu had 5 sons who were called as Pandavas. The blind Dhritarashtra, on the other hand, had 100 sons. Duryodhana was the name of the first son, the eldest one. King Pandu did not live long. His sons, called the Pandavas, were taken into Dhritarashtra's family and lived with their 100 cousins, the Kauravas. Please remember, we have 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas. They lived together. They grew up together. But because of the bravery and intelligence of the Pandavas, terrible jealousy arose in the Kauravas. They could not tolerate the intelligence and smartness of the Pandavas. Because of this constant dispute, the Pandavas decided to live apart from the Kauravas. And the country was partitioned. One is Indraprastha, another is Hastinapur. Hastinapur is a place where Kauravas stayed. Indraprastha is a place where Pandavas stayed. The Pandavas ruled their section very well due to their wisdom and valor. Their country grew so much and became so influential that the Pandavas were able to conduct a great ritual called the Rajasuya Yajnam, ruler of the earth ceremony. Great power was required to perform this particular ceremony, and only those who had no enemies could do it. It worked like this. The king of a country let loose a beautiful horse to roam where it wanted, while king and other friendly warriors followed it. If anybody stopped the horse from grazing or tried to control its movement, the king would fight with that person. This yajnam was a way of proving that there was no one powerful enough to challenge that king. The Pandavas had that much status. There were no enemies strong enough to challenge them. This great Rajasuya Yajna fueled the jealousy already in the hearts of the Kauravas. So Duryodhan, the eldest one of the Kauravas, with the help of his cunning uncle Shakuni, plotted the destruction of the Pandavas. With the help of his uncle, Duryodhan invited the eldest Pandava brother Yudhishthira to a game of dice and defeated him through trickery and cheating. Yudhishthira, the eldest one of the Pandavas, lost all his wealth, possessions and kingdom. He lost everything, even Draupadi, his wife. It was a very shameful moment for all the Pandavas, but they accepted the conditions of their defeat. The Pandavas, including Draupadi, agreed to go into the forest and live there for 12 years, after which time they were to live incognito for another year, Ajnatavas, untraced by Kauravas. If by any chance they were seen and recognized during the final year, they would have to return to the forest for another 12 years. That was the condition. Meanwhile, the Kauravas would rule all the land. If the Pandavas could fulfill the conditions, it was agreed that they would get back their share of the kingdom after those 13 years. 12 years of forest life and 1 year of living incognito. Though they had a very hard time, the Pandavas did succeed in fulfilling all the conditions. With God's help, which came as a result of their faith and devotion, they completed all 13 years. Then they returned and said, "Well, we have fulfilled all the conditions, please give us our kingdom back." Duryodhan, the personification of jealousy and hatred, flatly refused. "No," he said, "I won't give you even as much land as can be covered by the point of a needle." See to what extent his anger, jealousy prompting him, dislike. of Pandavas. Those were his exact words. What a generous heart. If you want anything, he added, Duryodhana said, if you want anything, you will have to fight for it. He's already giving the hint. Then the Pandavas' mother, Kunti, advised her sons. Kunti was a great, heroic, devoted mother. She said to her sons, don't be fools. You should wage war against them. We have a just claim. And of course, Lord Krishna also inspired them in a way by saying, you are virtuous people and the law of righteousness is on your side. Dharma is on your side. You have a duty to do it. The Kauravas are not fit to rule the country. You are the righteous ones. You must save all the people from these villains, even by fighting if necessary. That's the background situation that created the war. Both sides wanted the help of Lord Krishna. So one day, both Arjun and Duryodhana decided independently, of course, to seek Krishna's help. Knowing they were coming, Krishna went into his bedroom and pretended to be sleeping. He did that purposely. Krishna is very usefully, very playful, very usually, very playful. Before he reclined, he set a very comfortable chair just behind the head of his couch. Then he lay down and pretended to sleep. Duryodhana arrived just before Arjun. They met in the lobby adjoining Krishna's apartments and then entered. What did Duryodhana do? He went straight to the chair behind Krishna's head and sat down waiting for Krishna to awaken. Arjun, on the other hand, walked in and being a good devotee, went near Lord Krishna's feet and he never sat. He stood there waiting patiently. He stood near the feet of Lord Krishna in a humble posture, praying mentally, waiting. After a few minutes, Krishna's sleep was over. What do you see first if you wake up and just open your eyes? Naturally, the one standing by your feet. Hello Arjun, Lord Krishna said. When did you come? Have you been standing there long? Why don't you sit? No, I am happy to stand, sir. He was very devoted and respectful. Then Krishna turned and saw Duryodhana. Oh, hello Duryodhana. You are also here? That's fine. When did you come? Then Duryodhana said, I came here first to ask your help. You should give a preference to the one who comes first. Krishna looked at Arjun, who nodded as if to say, he also had come for the Lord's help. Then Krishna spoke. Duryodhana, I believe you when you say you came first. But I was sleeping when you both came. As I woke, my eyes fell first on Arjun. You came first, but I saw Arjun first. Therefore, I should help you both. That's the conclusion. He never rejected them. And fantastic thing is how he gives impartially the solution to both of them, to choose according to their own way. So Lord Krishna said, to be neutral and impartial. I will give each something. I will divide my energy into two portions. One of you can have my entire army. The other can have just me only, unarmed, and I won't fight. Now you have the choice before you. As you know, the younger of two should be allowed to choose first. Krishna says, now Arjun, think well before you make your choice. In the meantime, Duryodhana became very anxious. He was thinking within himself, oh God, don't let him ask for the army. Thinking himself in his mind. Without you, sir, said Arjun, what can I do with your army? It's enough just to have you. I don't want army. I want you. And he fell at the feet of Lord Krishna. You get what you want, said Krishna. That's fine with me. Duryodhana was so relieved. What I am going to do with you, Krishna? You have already said you won't take arms, you won't fight, etc. I want your entire army, your power. Okay, you get what you want and he gets what he wants. Good. After Duryodhana left, Krishna said to Arjun, you only got me. I won't use even a sword or a bow. I will be simply empty-handed. What can I do? Arjun laughed. Sir, do you think I don't know who you are? I have been waiting for just such an opportunity as this. If I enter the field of battle with you as my charioteer, the world will see virtue established. So please be kind enough to drive my chariot. Please take the reins. That's how the Supreme Lord Krishna became the charioteer of the warrior Arjun. Another interesting thing happened now. Even after this, Shri Krishna went to see Duryodhana. He tried another chance and say, well, Duryodhana, there is still time. Can't we settle this peacefully? But this crooked and villain, Duryodhana, had plotted again. Before Krishna came, knowing that Krishna would meet him, Duryodhana had a beautiful throne built for him, as if he was receiving Krishna with honors. But the throne was set on a small reeds with a huge pit below. Duryodhana was foolish enough to think. He came in, of course, knowing everything, and Krishna sat down on the throne. When it broke, he remained seated in mid-air over the pit. He did not fall into the pit. Then Lord Krishna makes a statement. Well, I am sorry to see that nothing can help you now. You have decided to destroy yourselves. He returned to the Pandavas and everything was prepared for the war. Finally, both armies were arrayed opposite one another on a large field called Kurukshetra. If you go to India, you can see Kurukshetra, still it's there. The whole Kurukshetra is desert. At this point, Arjuna wanted to look more closely at the people he was about to fight. He already knew them. Still he said, Let me just have a look, Krishna. Please drive my chariot into the middle of the battlefield. Krishna drove the chariot. It is here that the Bhagavad Gita begins. But before we go into it, there is an important point about the Gita. The entire dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna and the war itself can be seen as allegory. The historic Kurukshetra battlefield is symbolic of the human frame. Life centered in the body is a kind of warfare. The Pandavas and Kauravas are parallel to the good and bad human tendencies. The bad tendencies are the Kauravas, naturally in the majority. And why are they considered bad? Because they are born of a blind father, which is ignorance, avidya. You may remember that Dhritarashtra was blind, while his brother Pandu is said to be white-skinned. This is not a reference to his race. The word Pandu means white, which represents sattva, purity and tranquility. The 5 sons of Pandu are the products of tranquility and represent the virtuous human qualities. There is a constant struggle between the good and bad, but both must get their energy from the Supreme God or the Atman, the inner consciousness. Without the Atman or self, even the bad qualities could not do anything. Lord Krishna represents the Atman. The good qualities always seek the guidance of the inner consciousness, the Atman or Krishna, whereas other tendencies seek the help of the senses and physical forces, Krishna's army. So this Kurukshetra battle didn't happen just once some thousands of years ago. It's constantly happening. It is within each of us. If the good tendencies will allow their conscience to guide them, they can have the grace and friendship of the Lord, and they can win the battle of life. On yet another level, the war chariot is the body. The 5 beautiful horses are the 5 senses, and the reins that control the horses are the buddhi or intellect. If that intellect, the discriminative faculty, is in the hands of the conscience, which is God in you, then your chariot runs well. If the soul or desires mind sits behind and simply follows what the conscience says, it will be always successful. That's the allegorical meaning behind the Gita. The main objective of the Gita is to help people struggling in the darkness of ignorance cross the ocean of transmigration and reach the spiritual shore of liberation while living and working in the society. The central teaching of the Gita is the attainment of freedom or happiness from the bondage of life by doing one's duty. Always remember the glory and greatness of the Creator and do your duty efficiently without being attached to or affected by the results, even if the duty may at times demand unavoidable violence. Some people neglect or give up their duty in life for the sake of a spiritual life, while others excuse themselves from spiritual practices because they believe that they have no time. The Lord's message is to sanctify the entire living process itself. Whatever a person does or thinks are to be done for the glory and satisfaction of the Maker. No effort or cost is necessary for this process. Do your duty as a service to the Lord and humanity, and see God alone in everything in a spiritual frame of mind. In order to gain such a spiritual personal discipline, austerity, penance, good conduct, selfless service, yogic practices, meditation, worship, prayer, rituals and study of scriptures as well as the company of holy persons, pilgrimage, chanting of the holy names of God, and self-inquiry are needed to purify the body, mind and intellect. One must learn to give up lust, anger, greed and establish mastery over the six senses: hearing, touch, sight, taste, smell and mind by the purified intellect. One should always remember that all works are done by the energy of nature and that he or she is not the doer but only an instrument. One must strive for excellence in all undertakings but maintain equanimity in success and failure, gain and loss, and pain and pleasure. The ignorance of metaphysical knowledge is humanity's greatest predicament. A scripture, being the voice of transcendence, cannot be translated. Language is incapable, and translations are defective to clearly impart the knowledge of the Absolute. According to the scriptures, no sin, however heinous, can affect the one who reads, ponders and practices the teachings of Gita any more than water affects the lotus leaf. The Lord himself resides where Gita is kept, read, chanted or taught. The Gita is the knowledge supreme and the sound embodiment of the Absolute and the Eternal. The one who reads, ponders and practices the teachings of Gita with faith and devotion will attain moksha by the grace of God. A busy man with karmic tendencies will be benefited by Gita Rahasya, the commentary of Sri Balagangadhar Tilak, a man of devotion by studying Sridhara's commentary, and a man of reason by studying Shankara's commentary. Bhagavad Gita is a unique book for all ages. It's a book that comes under the category of Prasthanatraya, Brahma Sutra, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. They are the authoritative books of the Hindu religion. The Gita is the immortal song of the soul which bespeaks the glory of life. The instructions that are inculcated by Lord Krishna are for the whole world. It is a standard book on yoga for all. The language is as simple as it could be. Even a man who has an elementary knowledge of Sanskrit can go through the book. It deals with the four yogas: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raj Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Bhagavad Gita is the cream of the Vedas. It is the essence of the Upanishads. It is a universal scripture for all people of all temperaments and for all times. It is a wonderful book with sublime thoughts and practical instructions on yoga, devotion, Vedanta and action. It is a marvelous book, profound in thoughts and sublime in heights of vision. It gives peace and solace to the souls who are afflicted by the three tapas, that means three fires of this mortal world. That means samsara. They are constantly being tormented by this samsara, by the three fires. What are those three fires? One is adhyatmika, afflictions caused by one's own body. Second one is adhibhautika, those caused by beings around one. And adhidaivika is the third one, those caused by celestial beings. The teachings of the Gita are broad, universal and sublime. Its teachings do not belong to any cult, sect, creed, particular age, place or country. They are meant for the people of the whole world at large. The teachings are based on the Upanishads, the ancient wisdom of the rishis and sages. It teaches a method which is within the reach of all. It has a message for the solace, peace, freedom, salvation and perfection of all human beings. The Gita Gospel was given over 5,000 years ago on the battlefield of Kurukshetra by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. The whole world is a big battlefield. The real Kurukshetra is within us. The battle of Mahabharata is still raging within us. Ignorance is Dhritarashtra. The individual soul is Arjuna. The indweller who dwells in our heart is Lord Krishna, the charioteer. The body is our chariot. The senses are the horses. The mind, egoism, senses samskaras, mental impressions, vasanas, latent tendencies, cravings, ragadvesh, likes and dislikes, lust, jealousy, greed, pride and hypocrisy are our dire enemies. The Gita gives us practical lessons to regulate our daily life and conduct. It tells us how to overcome the above enemies, how to develop the divine virtues which will help us to attain God consciousness. The message of the Gita is the message of sacrifice, love and duty. We should love all, share what we have with others, we should do our duties well, rise above petty likes and dislikes. We should keep open the portals of our heart by removing selfishness, greed and lust, so that the Supreme Lord Himself may come and dwell therein. These are the lessons of the Gita. Man is a composite of three fundamental factors: cognition, feeling and will. There are people with three kinds of temperaments: the active temperament, the emotional temperament and the rational temperament. So there are three yogas: Jnana Yoga for the man of inquiry and self-analysis or rational temperament, Bhakti Yoga for the man of emotional temperament, and Karma Yoga for the man of active temperament. One yoga is as efficacious as the other. The Gita therefore formulates the theory of the three paths, Jnana, Bhakti and Karma, to suit to people of all temperaments. According to the teaching of the Gita, there is no conflict among the three. The Gita harmonizes wonderfully the philosophy of action, devotion and knowledge. All the three must be harmoniously blended if we wish to attain perfection. We should have the head of Shankara, the heart of Lord Buddha and the hand of Raj Janak. The three horses of this body chariot, action, emotion and intellect, should work in perfect harmony. Only then will this body chariot move smoothly and we can reach the destination safely and quickly. Only then can we rejoice in the self within. Only then can we sing the song of Aham Brahmasmi, or I am He, so Aham. Only then can we be in tune with the infinite. Only then can we hear the soundless voice of the soul and enjoy the sweet internal music of the self. The central teaching of the Gita is attainment of final beatitude of life or perfection or freedom by doing the duties of life or one's swadharma. The Lord says to Arjun, O Arjun, without attachment do you always perform action which should be done, for by performing action without attachment man reaches the Supreme. The Gita emphasizes again and again that one should cultivate an attitude of non-attachment or detachment. It urges repeatedly that one should live in the world like the lotus leaf, which is unaffected by water. He who acts placing all actions in the eternal, abandoning attachment, is as unaffected by sin as a lotus leaf by water. Padma patra vivambhasa. Attachment is due to moha. Attachment is the offspring of the quality of rajas. Non-attachment is born of sattva. Attachment is an asuri sampat, demoniacal quality. Non-attachment is daivi sampat, divine attributes. Attachment is born of ignorance, selfishness and passion. Attachment brings death. Non-attachment is wisdom. Non-attachment brings freedom. Practice of detachment is a rigorous discipline indeed. We will have to practice it again and again. We might tumble down like a baby who is just learning to walk. But we will have to rise up again with a smile and cheerful heart. Failures are not stumbling blocks but stepping stones to success. We should try to dwell always in our self. Abide in our own self. Abide in our center. We should think of the self constantly. All attachments will die automatically. Attachment to God, or Atman, is a potent antidote to annihilate all worldly attachments. He who has no attachment can really love others. He has pure love or divine prema. Therefore, without attachment, constantly perform action which is duty for. By performing actions without attachment, man verily reaches the Supreme. There is an interesting reference in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna once met Vidyasagar, Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar, the great scholar. He was talking to him. He asked him a question. What's the significance of the Gita? Sri Ramakrishna himself answers that question. It is what you find by repeating the word 10 times. Gita, Gita, Gita. It is then reversed into Tagi, which means a person who has renounced, whether a man is a monk or a householder, he has to shake off all attachment from his mind. Let us see how we can do it by studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter by chapter, in my next Tuesday class. Thank you. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, only lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, down deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Nay, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when the instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the free make others free. May good be at all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.